14 past, I'm Comedy Sam. We're awaiting the arrival of the head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. It's his regularly scheduled day after the game news conference. Usually it's 12:30, but because of the Sunday night game, they got in late. So Coach needed his beauty sleep. So he probably slept in a little bit, but he is scheduled to join us here any minute. Not one-on-one with us, but just join with all the media members that will be assembled at Winter Park. I was just reminded of the Micah Parsons injury. They're showing it on the 55-inch Toshiba Regsy here. I'm one of those people, and I don't know how other fans of teams react when arch rivals have the players on the team get injured. If they not that they're glad a guy is hurt, but they go, oh man, that helps us a lot. I'm not like that. I'd rather beat the other team straight up. Now, if a key player is hurt, nothing I can do about it. And it would, with Parsons out, that benefits every team they play. And I know some Packer fans are doing the woe is us. And don't bring it to this show because as a fan of the Vikings and the Kitties, both teams have had their fair share of injuries over the years. All teams have them. It's some to greater extents than others. If you remember last year, Detroit had more defensive injuries, players lost to injury than any other team. I think it may have been in the history of the league in one unit. Detroit lost 18 players last year. They were calling guys in the middle of the week and saying, hey, Sam, I heard you played football back when you were at Washburn. And you go, yeah, how long ago was that? 20 years ago. We still need you. And they would show up. So same thing. The Packers just have to play. I think it's an anterior cruciate ligament tear. He's out. So it's next man up. And the good thing for Kansas City with Mahomes, he also had I think same thing, anterior cruciate knee ligament. He's out for the season, but for all intents and purposes, Kansas City season's over. I know they still have games to play, but they were eliminated from postseason play after the loss yesterday to the Chargers. So there you go. That was leading me into another NFL note. Oh, I know. With the Vikings eliminated from postseason play, I know for many people there's not as much. I mean, the A topic now is the development of McCarthy. Is he? And you'll tell me when coach is ready, right? McCarthy is the A topic right now. How much better will he get? Been better the last couple of weeks. Just talked about it going into this last break at the top of the hour. It seems as though Mark Craig didn't call it dumbing it down, but maybe simplifying the offense a little bit. Maybe not worrying so much about mechanics anymore. Let him just play football. The coach even said that going into the Washington game. Just play ball. Just I think it was a running backs coach is the one that's credited with the little spiel to the team. Just play like your 16-year-old self. That old thing, which is true. Sometimes it's your profession now, it's your livelihood. There's a lot at stake, but it's at the same time you're still playing a game, a kid's game. So, I don't even understand this. It says, there goes Common telling us how virtuous he is. I'm not virtual. I'm not even viral. I mean, I don't even know what he's talking about. No, I'm just. You have to explain it to some people because I'm assuming the text messenger is one of those people that he roots for injuries on teams that he's against. He'd rather go, it's the old marvelous Marvin Hagler when he fought Mustafa Hamsho twice. The first time they stopped the fight, and Hamsho had to have, I think it was 73 stitches in his face to close up the cuts. And they asked Hagler about it, and he said, I saw the meat hanging down from around his eyes, but I thought better him than me, so I kept punching. So I think that's what this text messenger is. I just want to separate myself from the. There are things you have to explain yourself to people, and so people know more about you, and you have to separate yourself from the wheat from the chaff. Or is it the chaff? The chaff, it's usually used cornstarch will work or any kind of talc, but talcum powder. But separating the wheat from the chaff, And I just want to let you know I'm not one of those guys that, God, I'm so glad he got hurt. Isn't that great? I wish he would have torn in the anterior cruciate ligament in both knees, because those people do exist. And I'm assuming the text messenger who just sent me a text on the Bradshaw Bryant KFAN text line feels that way, because he's not virtuous. I am virtuous. And I don't like to, if a guy gets injured, that's just the way it goes. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to cry over spilt milk or torn anterior or interior or exterior cruciate ligaments. But I'd rather beat a team when they've got everybody there, because then there's always the only reason you won is we're missing 5 guys. Well, okay, that certainly plays into it, but I'd rather beat them at their best. That's why I don't like when there's load management games. You're playing a team and they're load managing. I say, well, what's that all about? But yeah, so I am virtuous. I will admit to that. I was trying to tell everybody how virtuous I was. That was the whole intent of that long rambling dissertation. Giants, we're on the road, right? We have 1 road game left, and then we have the 2 home games, first against Detroit and then against Green Bay to end the season. I think we can go 3-0. I think the way the team is playing and the way they've sort of rallied around McCarthy. Here's what I'll tell you too. We talked about the teams that are in the desperation mode. And so when people are handicapping games, you'll hear often, you'll oftentimes hear teams desperate. So they expect a better effort from that team because they're desperate. Like Detroit is desperate, right? They need to win at home against Pittsburgh. They've got to run the table and then hope for a little help along the way. They still have that 20 or 25% chance of making them play 30, whatever that number is at. They need some other things to go their way. I do believe that teams are desperate. I don't necessarily believe that because a team is desperate, that means they have a better chance to win. Because once a team becomes desperate, there's a reason they're desperate, because they're not very good and they put themselves in a bad situation. I do believe in when your team has got nothing to play for anymore as far as postseason play, it's easier to play loosey-goosey and take chances and have coaches go for it on 4th down when they might not, or try a trickeration play, or don't be fearful of calling a more wide open game, because what's the difference? At this point, you're just trying to play out the string. In the case of the Vikings, you're trying to get your quarterback more experience, more situations in which he is facing 3rd and long and facing longer odds without the end result of the game in the grand scheme of things making any difference. If the Vikings lose the next 3 or win the next 3, it has no bearing on anything except where they select in the upcoming NFL draft. That's the only thing it will affect. I guess players can feel good about themselves going into the offseason if they string together some wins. I guess you could feel bad about yourself if you lose 3 or 4 in a row at the end of the season. I think players are pretty resilient once that season is put away. If the Vikings lose 3 in a row, I don't think it's woe is me. That, we're a terrible team in a terrible city with a terrible fan. I think they go into next year. But I do think, I think it's, if you're a team that's in desperation mode, I think, as I said, there's a reason you're there, and that's where the struggle becomes in the team that is like the Vikings. That's why I think the Vikings will probably bode well. The Giants game is probably a coin flip because the Giants have nothing going for me. The matter is, Dart, is he still playing? I know he's been hurt. I'm not sure if he's still playing or not, but they're breaking in their rookie quarterback. So they're trying to accomplish some of the same things the Vikings are, is they're trying to give their young quarterback as much experience as he can get. Once Detroit comes to town, I would expect the Vikings to beat Detroit. And whether Detroit has anything to play for or not, they've already beat them once this year. The Vikings can play loosey-goosey, and then the Green Bay game will all depend upon if Green Bay has anything to play for as far as playoff positioning, whether it'll be a number 1 seed, whether it'll be a 7 seed or somewhere in between. So the head coach has not shown up yet. Well, let's do this. Let's break because we don't want to get too far behind. We'll take a break. The coach is late. What a shock. We'll break. We'll come back. And when we do, we should have the head coach of the Vikings live from Winter Park for his day after the game news conference here on the Fan. One thing we missed as we go to the Kevin O'Connell news conference in progress. Grenard was having shoulder surgeries out for the year, but here's the head coach, Kevin O'Connell, in progress.
We denied, when he got his strength and got what he needed to be cleared to play. He was back on the field, even going a few weeks back to, minimal snaps and then building it up from there. It was something he was playing through. Not something that he knew he would not be able to kind of put this behind him until probably, he got it fixed, at, whenever that was going to be. And just, looking at the kind of coming out of it and re-aggravating it. And just it feels like the best time to do that now, specifically after all the things that I just mentioned and what he's meant to us.
Kevin, do you expect Christian Darrisaw to be back at some point?
Yeah, we're going to, he had some swelling in there, during the week and just couldn't quite get there. I would just say it's a week to week kind of what that week is going to look like right now. But yeah, I'm hoping we get him back in there at some point.
And that's just all related to the original.
Yeah, no, it's just part of it. He had a very significant injury. He's absolutely worked his tail off throughout the lead up, the off season, the rehab. It's been a heck of a year for him. I've been really proud of the way he's attacked the rehab side of things and really trying to do whatever he could to build up throughout the season. It just was kind of something we knew going into it could be very unpredictable. Really, coming out of significant snaps in one game versus others, and then where he'd be at the end of the week. We've tried to create a plan to manage it as best as possible, but it's just part of it for what this season's kind of been for Christian. I don't think this is going to be anything that will be a part of his future here. I think he's going to be able to. With time and with the significant injury he had, I do think we're going to be able to put this in the rearview mirror here. But at this point, it's kind of a day-to-day process for all of us to see where we can get him to for each and every game.
Kevin, just reviewing the tape from last night, what stood out to you about kind of the passing game, what you guys really did?
Well, I thought the explosive side of things, I think we might have had 7 plus 15-yard gains that they were kind of all a little different if you're looking at it. There were some examples of some coverage being rolled to Justin on a 3rd down, and we get Addison over the top for a potential touchdown chance there. They got him down there inside the 5, but then there were some unique things with some bigger groupings to try to activate some different types of things that we've done in the past, but just kind of seemed to kind of be a scenario where it was a balance, right? It's a really talented front. You don't have your left tackle in the game, really talented interior. So you're kind of play to play, kind of trying to navigate a world where you get those plays and you have a chance to have some of those, chunk completions to kind of stack some positives, but at the same time, see if you can take some significant chunks and not have to drive it against that front, 12, 13, 14 plays. And that's what I thought we did well. I thought we ran it just well enough to kind of weather kind of the snap-to-snap storm and not have to, be totally, off balance one way or the other, run or pass. And then I thought there were some great examples of just decision-making from JJ, trying to activate some play passes down the field. He checks the ball down a couple times to Aaron Jones for gain of 8, gain of 5, just little things like that that allowed us to continue to kind of use some of those completions as extensions of our run game in a lot of ways, and doing it out of different groupings, and then finding some space, maybe on the edges at times, either on some design kind of throws or some unique run concepts that gave us a chance to find some space, because it was hard to come by against that front with those three guys in there, and they got, Clowney was impactful on the edges, and they've got, Fowler and the rookie from Boston College as well. So it's a really good front. Backers all run really well. So we knew it was going to be a different kind of game than maybe some of the other games where we've been able to lean on the run game a little bit. But we wanted to try to stay balanced enough to allow those explosives to come our way, and we were able to do that.
Kevin, with all the analytics, are you able to look at healthy offensive line and see if there's any correlation between how JJ plays? And as a quarterback, what do you tell him? Darrisaw's not in. Do you say, forget that, expect the same performance out of whoever's playing left tackle? Or how do you manage him through that from a confidence standpoint?
Well, we play differently. We try to, have a plan, especially when we, when we determined that Christian wasn't going to be able to go. We can have a plan and kind of a method to how we want to play, where the quarterback shouldn't have to think about that a whole lot, whether that's having some extra help over there or where we're directing the slide, where we're kind of using our resources we do have to try to make sure we can maximize the amount of times we can give him a couple clean hitches to hopefully find some open guys down the field. I did think his pocket movement, whether it was, on some of those get back on track downs where they made some plays early in the game in the run game to force some negatives, and we had to try to get back on track. He moved up and out. I think the significance of moving up and then out of the pocket was on display. A couple runs he had, before the fourth down touchdown he had, that scramble to almost score was going up, going forward. And then even early in the game, second and long, he gets up and out and finds TJ out on the boundary for a conversion on a second and long. Just simple plays like that are him doing his job at a high level, but doing his job and not thinking he has to try to overcome it by, maybe stepping outside the realm of what he's being asked to do on a play. And I think he's, over these last 2 weeks, he's really just locked into that mentality. And I think he's seeing if I do those things and I play each snap as their own, I'm going to get some opportunities down the field. And even when we don't hit them all, he's making some really high level throws. And I thought that was on full display. I was really, really proud of the way he threw the football last night, even though there's always going to be things you go back and say, this throw or that throw or this connection with this guy. But as a whole, played at a winning level. And he now has for the last 8 quarters, and pair that with, guys doing some good things around him, and we're starting to function a little bit on offense.
The throw to Jefferson in the back of the end zone, that just have a little bit too much heat on it?
It was, I think Jets would probably be the first one to tell you he can make that play, but yeah, it had some sauce on it for sure. That's going to the right place with the ball. Everything about it's right. We just got to find a way to pitch and catch that one.
Can you ever wonder about what could have been this year when you win last night, you win in Detroit, you win in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, you just look at, we're off to a pretty good start in December. Playing December football is always important, regardless of what your record is. But you do think about, the curse I have is thinking about that one low red zone play, against Atlanta. We might have had a chance to score, but we don't. And or a play against Chicago that could have changed that game. Baltimore, Philly. You just start thinking about games throughout the year, and it circles back to just what this year's kind of been, and overcoming some things that were outside of our control, but starts with me of making sure we're doing all the things in our control to try to give ourselves a chance, and the best possible chance to win as many games as you possibly go. The 1-0 thing is real, because if you look at that one game, you're really talking about going 1-0 that week, and where could we have been at this point. But that's why I'm so proud of our team and just kind of where we're at right now, because these guys it's in many ways you play this game to get in the dance and have a chance to try to compete for a championship, but also as I've told them multiple times this year, you can learn a lot about yourself and the guys you go to work with every day by how we handle ourselves in these moments. And I think there's constant demonstration right now of our team being made of the right stuff.
Paul, you mentioned Paul Wiggin, and he played for Paul Brown. He coached with Bud Grant, Nick Vermeil, Bill Walsh. And he was such a cerebral guy. Did you tap into, did you ask him a lot about those guys and those people, and was there anybody in particular that you used as his wealth of knowledge?
Yeah, I just remember when I was having my weekly lunches with Bud, with Coach Grant back in 22, there'd be some times where Coach Grant would say some things to me, and I didn't want to, be the young, annoying first-year head coach and fire a question back at him. So I would log it away and make sure I went and found Wiggs and asked him what exactly did he mean by that. But just even being around, him in draft meetings when he would talk about pass rushers and how he saw it, and he had evaluated everybody, and you're listening to him and what, how his eye saw the game and just the wealth of knowledge and experience. But you mentioned it, the cerebralness to him. He had an unbelievable way about him of kind of, picking his spots, but at the same time, you found yourself going, wanting to hear more and more from him. And like I said, it's been a really cool part of this job. Not only the time I got to spend with Coach Grant before he passed away, but just having Wiggs in the building and being around him, I know made us all better.
What's been the challenge this year of trying to get Justin the ball and trying to balance like the way coverage is playing him, but also just wanting to get him as involved as he and everybody does?
Yeah, I think, there's, I'm not sure the number, 51 maybe plays, and 27 of those are rushing attempts, and you're trying to activate some things. And those plays, just when you don't have the normal volume of plays, and now we had a really good yards per play last night and had some chunks and some explosives, but a lot of those came, at the, with how they were playing. And we can, I did think we had some good ops. We talked about Justin in the end zone there. We had him against man-to-man on a kind of a deep crossing route. Another time that you'd like to see those. Those have been kind of plays that when we get that one chance, that sometimes can be the chance for Justin for a sequence of 20 to 25 plays where there's not a safety lean into him, there's not a double team, there's not a cloud coverage roll into him. So when those aren't when you're 2nd and 10 after those plays, it does feel a little bit more significant than just a standard get back on track play. But like I said, Justin's still doing all the things required for us to win, and nobody wants to make those plays more than Justin, and nobody wants to make those throws more than JJ, and we just got to continue to try to find ways to allow Justin to impact the game. I thought we found him, we created a 4x1 one time and got him a look in the red zone. We tried to have a couple alerts to him in the process of maybe then throwing some screens. So we're just going to always try to find ways where we're not going to miss an op. And I think he got an ample amount of targets for kind of the game that it was, considering the total number of pass attempts we had. But we absolutely are on the hunt to have our best player as involved as we possibly can.
Last one. The defense hasn't allowed a passing touchdown
in
5 games. I guess just what's clicked in that stretch for them?
Yeah, I think there's been a really, really good combination of the marriage of our pressure packages, coverages, and then getting the quarterback off the spot, even on plays where we're maybe not in a full send it mode, we're getting the quarterback off the spot. That's the interior guys. That's JG, Dallas, Gink, whether it's one of the backers going on a simulated pressure where we're only bringing 4, but we're bringing one of those guys and dropping somebody out. It's been a really good combination of all those things. And then specifically speaking to Harrison Smith last night, it felt like it during the game, felt like it just listening to the calls and then kind of how things played out. But the game within the game that Harrison was playing was as special as, maybe any game since I've been here, as far as against a quarterback like that and an offense and weapons that they have. And he's really in total control and command of what the final call kind of is there based upon his assessment of what Dak's trying to get to. And there's some back and forth going on there. As a self-proclaimed football nerd, it was pretty fun to watch, for sure. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, too. And there you have it. That's the head coach of the soon-to-be Big Game World Champion Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, was day after the game news conference. We'll break. We'll come back. We'll have all the reaction to all of the news conference action next. Common Man program here on The Fan.
Ball.
What's more fun than a barrel of monkeys? It's Flop, Sweat, and Tears Petty Theft Tour. Episode number 2 will be at the Eagles Club in Rochester. Tickets are available right now. Common Man, Meat Sauce, and Larry Mondello Guy will be entertaining you. One show only, 7:30, January 31st. Go to commonmanbook.com, commonmanbook.com, and order your tickets today. We thank the folks down at the Legion or at the Eagles Club for opening their doors for us. If you remember earlier in the Grum, I don't know, it was a couple of segments ago, I mentioned that when Micah Parsons was injured, I know there's a group of fans out there that have issues that if you're and look at my favorite teams are the Vikings, the Lions, and whoever is playing the Packers, right? But I don't like seeing players get injured. It's they're laying it on the line. Guys are laying it on the line. They're in the trenches. They're in a training room. It's bandwagon. It really is. So I had one text messenger say, there goes Common telling us how virtuous he is. So then I mentioned on the air, he's one of those guys that probably was cheering the injury of Micah Parsons and probably roots for players to get hurt to give his team a better chance to win. He writes, wrong. Of course, then I text back, of course, thanks for letting us know how virtuous you are, because that's what he just did. He said he doesn't, so he's telling me how virtuous he is. He did exactly what he accused me of. Then he says, I'm not virtuous. I just want the Vikings to win so bad I don't care how it happens. So in other words, he's guilty of exactly what I accused him of being a person that actually roots for physical and bodily harm to opponent players, which my only response would be, sad, really. It was mentioned, we missed it in the news conference because our timing wasn't exactly right to get to the head coach after we took a break. He started shortly thereafter. But the one thing we missed in the news conference was that Jonathan Grenard is out for the season. That shoulder, remember, he came up with a shoulder injury yesterday. He's going to have shoulder surgery. So Jonathan Grenard out for the rest of the season for the soon-to-be Big Game World Champion Minnesota Vikings. Sam, I don't know if you're a big individual awards guy. You know, you have most valuable player awards. And for instance, our new defenseman, the Quinn Hughes character, won the Norris Trophy. I think that's for best defenseman in the league. He won it last year. I'm not against them, but I don't put a lot of stock into them because I don't even know what it really proves or what it really even means. I mean, it's very subjective, first of all. I mean, you have, like I think in most of the Major League Baseball, right? I think in all of the awards, the MVPs, isn't it generally the media that makes those selections?
Yes.
I don't think it's like general managers or coaches or players. I think all of these are determined by members of the media. And over the weekend, one of the preeminent individual awards was handed out, the Heisman Trophy.
Yes.
And the winner was the kid from, is it Mendoza?
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, Mendoza wins it. Quarterback for Indiana. They're undefeated, 11-0, number one team in the country. They won the Big Ten, or maybe they're 12-0 now. They won the Big Ten championship by beating previously number one, right? It was number one against number two. Ohio State was number one. Ohio State was number one. Indiana was number two. And Really good football game. I enjoyed it. I watched it start to finish. Indiana won the game, and they became number one. Mendoza's their quarterback. He ends up winning the Heisman Trophy. Does he deserve it? Yeah, I guess. I mean, could have gone to... I think there's 5 finalists for the Heisman, if I'm not mistaken, and any of the 5 are probably deserving. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia wasn't real happy that he wasn't selected, and he's now since apologized for his reaction. This is a Associated Press story that says Vandy quarterback Diego Pavia has apologized for his comments after finishing second in the Heisman. Mendoza earned 2,362 points, including 643 first-place votes. Pavia was next in line at 1,435. I guess there were 4 finalists, not 5. There's 4. After the ceremony, Diego reposted an Instagram story of himself, and his offensive line captioned, "F all the voters, but family for life." He also reposted comments from Skip Bayless on social media, stating that the Vandy signal caller should have won the award, and seemingly throwing a jab at Mendoza's 6 minutes acceptance speech. Diego was photographed at a club later that night with a sign reading "F Indiana" in his section. Then he apologized. I think his handlers, family members, coaches, teammates, friends told him, "Dude, this is a bad look. You're going to get drafted in the NFL. These are the things that can prevent you from being number 1 overall pick and sliding to the 5th round. Don't be acting like an idiot." So he said, he said, "Being a part of the Heisman ceremony last night as a finalist was such an honor. As a competitor, just like in everything I do, I wanted to win. To be so close to my dream and come up short was painful. I didn't handle those emotions well at all and did not represent myself the way I wanted to. I have much love and respect for the Heisman voters." Of course you do. "And selection process, and I apologize for being disrespectful. It was a mistake, and I am sorry." Well, you're sorry after you saw what the reaction was. And when everybody said, "Dude, what are you doing?" It's that old Southwest Airlines commercial, "Want to get away." He wanted to get away. It's just like, dude. And again, I know it's not meaningless. It's a cool award. It's the best player in college football that year. As a matter of fact, when you say Heisman Trophy, you're supposed to say it in hushed tones. You're supposed to say, Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy because it's such a big deal. And it means money, too. I get that. I mean, you win the Heisman Trophy, endorsement deals. You're always a Heisman Trophy winner, blah, blah, blah. But you got to calm down. It's like what the kid said when he won an MVP award. He said they're handing them out at Home Depot. It's not that big of a deal. It's the opinion of a bunch of writers who don't play the game. I think it is writers that vote. Do you know? Can you look that up?
I can look it up.
Who votes for the Heisman? I think it's media people. And how many voters do they have? I mean, the Indiana quarterback earned 2,362 points, including 643 first-place votes. Why are that many people voting?
So it says here, the Heisman Trophy is voted on by 3 groups, 870 college football media members, divided into 6 regions, all living former Heisman winners, and a single aggregated fan vote, creating about 930 total votes.
Okay. So the fans get a piece of it, too.
Would you say that the Heisman is the most, of all the individual awards, the most prestigious? I think you can make a case that it is.
I would think City Page's Gadfly of the Year was the most prestigious one. I won that in 1998. You know what a Gadfly is?
I'm very familiar.
You're looking at it.
That's right.
I can tell you exactly. I want you to look up Gadfly, the definition, and I'll tell you what it says before you read it. Gadfly, somebody who is persistently annoying. What does it say?
A gadfly is literally a biting fly that annoys livestock.
And then does it have a second one that says somebody who is persistently annoying?
I got to go to the other definitions. Yeah. Yes. A person who interferes with the status quo of society or community. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, an irritating person.
Yeah, I'm irritated, and I'm proud of it. And I do fight the status quo. Just because somebody tells me something, I don't just fall in line and go, "Oh, yes, that's the way it is. That's the way it's supposed to be." In other words, oh, desperate team means they're going to win. They're going to play better. No, it doesn't. There's a reason they're desperate. So you got to think of the esoteric approach and say, well, why are they desperate? It's because they've put themselves in a terrible situation. How did they get in that situation? Because they're not very good. And they should have probably started playing with desperation week 1 rather than waiting to week 16. So that's what my response to that would be. So, yeah, the Heisman thing is, for instance, I'll give you another example. I don't like to talk about myself. And I don't like to use myself as an example or a comparison.
Sure.
I just generally don't, or an analogy, but I'm going to make an exception right here. Recently, a website called the64.com. They're I don't know if it's one person, two people, a bunch of people put together a website. Have you heard about it?
I have not. Look it up.
It's well, you don't need to. I'll explain what it is. It's the64.com, and what they do is they make brackets, sort of like with the preposterous statement tournament. We created a bracket like the NCAA tournament where we have 64 preposterous statements and the listeners vote on it,
Yep,
right?
love
And
it.
we've done it, I don't know, 6-7 times. And so some dudette, bro, sis came up with the idea to do it for all sorts of things. They do it for, like, I read the example that they had on their website. Something they said, some of the ones they've done before, like the best sandwich in Philadelphia. Think of all the things you could put into a 64 team or item. I guess it would be item bracket, whether it's teams, whether it's sandwiches, restaurants, whatever the case may be. So they did one recently, the 64 bracket for sports talk shows / podcasts. And how they decided on the 64, if they had one person, two people, 6, 7 people, 13, 14 select, 3 shows from the KFAN were selected nationwide to participate in this. It was the Common Man Program, the Paul Allen Project, and the Power Trip Morning Show. And amongst the other 61 were Colin Cowherd, right? He's national, right?
Big time.
Pat McAfee, another national one. Mike and the Mad Dog. I think his name is Michael Russo. And all of these people were national and locals. There was a lot of locals too. Well, lo and behold, I get to the Sweet 16, and who do I square off against? The Power Trip Morning Show. We were in the same bracket. We were in the Metropolitan Division. This probably comes as a surprise to you. It should. I lost to the Power Trip Morning Show. Now, when you listen to the 2 shows and compare them for content, preparation, positivity, professionalism, if you put those 2, there's nobody in their right mind who would say the Power Trip is a better show / podcast than the Common Man Program. Is there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Should I have tweeted out, F all the voters? That's childish. Now, if I knew who some of those voters were, I'd slash the tires on their car. But I'm not going to, it's just I took it in stride. We all know I should have won. How I didn't. Certainly that matchup I should win. I'm actually embarrassed I lost to the Power Trip Morning Show. No offense to the guys. I love them.
Right.
Maestro of the Morning, Corey Cove, the Milton Bradley of the KFAN, Chris Hawkey, rock star extraordinaire, and Lucky Meat Sauce, But again, I didn't complain about it. I just said, okay, that's the way it goes. Congratulations to the Power Trip Morning Show. I was just happy to be considered. I took the high road. If you're looking for the Common Man, whether it's Los Angeles or New York, you'll find me on the high road. And that's where I was, on the high road. Unlike Diego, who took the low road until he was told he needed to take the high road. Are we at the end of the show yet?
Yeah, a few more seconds.
How much is a few more? No, someone says, here's what I don't get. Wasn't that just for morning shows? No, it was for all sorts, because PA's morning show, but not morning. Morning show means that morning drive. But I'm happy for the power trip. I'm just thrilled for him. And I'm thrilled for Diego, and I'm thrilled for Mendoza. And I'm thrilled for you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I thought you did a bang-up job as well. It was good to have you as always. Hopefully you get that plastic Chad out of your neck, and hopefully you get over your hatred of Roosevelt eventually sometime. We enjoyed our visit. I'm back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Remember, it's the Nico Medved Show at 12 noon. Stick around, though. Big Ticket and JG, they're next. Right here on The Fan.
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.